Okay, so at this time, we are live, and I want to say, first of all, namaste, and thank you for joining. We truly appreciate you being here with us today. And we are going to talk about an important issue today, which is the election 2024. So I know everyone is kind of excited about the election. People have said that this may be one of the more consequential elections that we have in many years. And this is an election that is going to decide America's future in many ways. So we decided we are doing a project called HinduVote. This is a project that is voter education project, and we have been doing it since 2020. But before I get to today's webinar, let me start with a quick introduction. My name is Ajay Shah. I am the president of World Hindu Council of America, or VHPA, Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America. I am also the co-convener of HinduPAC, which is Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective. It is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America, or VHPA. And I have been doing advocacy work for most of my life, most of my adult life at least. And with me is, I'm really privileged to have Mohinder Gulati ji here today. Mohinder Gulati ji is very accomplished individual. He was actually in his younger days. He just told me that I didn't know about it. He is a core member of our core team for HinduVote. He was in his younger days an elections officer in India for 2 years. So he actually has on-the-ground experience in running the election. And he recently retired from United Nations, where he was the chief operating officer of Sustainable Energy for All. He was also an advisor to sustainable development at the World Bank, where he worked at more than 50 countries. And he now lives in the Washington, D.C. area. We are absolutely privileged that Mohinderji is part of our team and is working with us on this important initiative. So thank you, Mohinderji, and thanks for joining. We truly appreciate it. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, that this is really one of the more consequential elections that we are facing. And we start looking around and we say, look, the HinduVote, Mohinderji, as I've been saying it in various forums, HinduVote is really an important vote. And why do I say that? So let me show this graphic to you and see what you have to say about this particular graphic, right? So let's take a look at this. I'll share my screen here in just a second. And that screen will show you what I'm, with some evidence as to why I'm making the statement that I'm making. So this, Mohinderji, is, and everyone else who is watching, is the graph that we have put together at HinduPAC. This is the graph that shows the importance of HinduVote. Okay, so if you look at the blue line here, or the blue bar, rather, the blue bars here, this is from 2020 elections. The blue bars are the difference in the votes that President Biden got and the former President Trump got. And this is for battleground states, which is on the x-axis. So the Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Florida, Virginia, Michigan, and North Carolina, the battleground states. So in all the battleground states, the blue bars, these are the blue bars, this is the blue bar, this is the blue bar. These are the bars that indicate the differences between the Biden vote and the Trump vote. The purple bar is the number of Hindus in that state who are eligible to vote. So it's the Hindu vote in that particular battleground state. And you can see here that the Hindu vote can be a decisive vote in almost all the states except maybe a couple of them, like Florida and Virginia. But in all the other states, any candidate, and the Hindu vote has grown since 2020. In every state, Hindu vote has grown because of the immigration and naturalization. So if a candidate pays attention to this Hindu vote, they can actually win the elections. And mind you, this is not Indian vote. Hindu vote is much larger than the Indian vote. The Hindu vote includes people from other countries who have come to America. For example, the Hindus from Bali, from Ghana, from Vietnam, from Suriname, from the Caribbeans, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, you name it. And there are a lot of people who have adopted dharma, Hindu dharma, one of the components of Sanatan dharma, who are, who have been residents of years for many generations, or who have immigrated from some parts of Europe, and the most far, and probably even countries like Latin America and Central America. So Hindu vote is not just of consequence; it is also a growing vote, and it's much more diverse vote. So you may say that, well, if the Hindu vote is this diverse, why would a candidate pay attention to Hindu vote? Why would they not just say, hey, I'll just address generic issues? Well, there are certain issues. If the voters vote, if the candidates were to address, then they will get this deciding Hindu vote, and will make an impact not just for the presidential elections, but also for the congressional elections, for the House of Representatives and the Senate. So, what are these issues? So, at Hindu Pact, we have come up with the American Hindu Agenda for 2024. Okay, so these are the issues that we think are of importance to all the Hindus, and we have done a lot of research on it, consulted other organizations, and we have come up with this really 8 simple issues. The first one is, we would like to see a legislation to bar Hindu phobia. What do you mean by bar? I mean, of course, we all understand First Amendment, so we are not saying that, stop free speech, but there are, for example, and we have given here in his example, there are academic departments that actively promote Hindu hatred. They promote papers, and they're funded by some government grant or the others. So defund these departments, defund these universities that actively promote Hindu hate. Okay, let's not use taxpayer dollars to promote Hindu hate. There might be other situations where there are corporations and other places which are funding these kinds of research, and we want to make sure that that is not funded. Now, as all of you have seen, there are at least a dozen cases over the last 2 years where Hindu temples have been vandalized and Mahatma Gandhi statues have been vandalized. And this has happened without any uh, you know, attempt to fight, in most of the cases, any attempt to even find the culprit, much less declare it as a hate crime. So what we are asking is that the people who get elected with our votes in Congress or in White House, support the investigation to determine the systemic causes for these kinds of vandalism across the US. Okay? This is a very simple demand, that have an investigation, find out what are the systemic causes, and stop that, and punish the perpetrators of that, because this is really a hate crime, and it has to be investigated as a hate crime. The next one is immigration. Now, everyone who is probably listening to this webinar here live, or people who are listening on Twitter or YouTube, they already know this, that if you today come to America legally, I mean, not talking about illegal immigration at all, people who come here legally, follow all the rules, they've come by using H-1B visa, they then go and apply for permanent residency, for green card, and their chances of getting permanent residence right now is over 100 years. And this is over 100 years because there are country-based caps. So there are only so many people from India who can qualify. What we are saying is that we are getting highly qualified, highly skilled workers from India. Most of them are Hindus. And this artificial barrier is keeping them from getting their permanent residency. And it actually is hurting America, because these are exactly the kind of legal immigrants you want in America. So expedite the green card for them. All you have to do is remove the country-based caps on the visa. Even worse are their children who come here legally when they're very young, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years old. Their parents, when they turn 18, they don't have green card. Their parents don't have a green card yet. All of a sudden, the kid who has grown up here, who has come to America legally, is now out of status, and the kid has either goes on student visa or some kind of work visa, or has to go back to a country they've never known. And again, we are only making argument for kids who are here legally. The next one is supporting the merit-based education and occupation. And this is the one where there's a lot of studies now after the fair admissions versus Harvard case, where it is, just a recent study came out of hundreds of thousands of students that said that uh, students from Indian subcontinent, mostly Hindus, they would have had 50% better chance of getting admission at Ivy League schools if the admission process was fair and if there were no quote unquote quotas. So if the affirmative action policies were not in place and their numbers were not artificially capped at 17-18%, then these students would have had fair admission chances, and they would have actually 50% better chance odds of getting into one of these Ivy League schools. So we want the uh, college educational and occupational opportunities to be based on merit and not based on some artificial quotas. And so we want the candidates to actually support this Supreme Court ruling and not try and override it. The other one is we want to hold religious theocracies like Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh that abuse the minorities, the Hindu, Jain, Sikh, Buddhist, Christian minorities, to be held accountable. What we mean by that is America has a lot of soft power, gives a lot of aid to these countries. We want to make sure that uh, these countries are held accountable. So we don't see a 12-year, 13-year-old, 14-year-old girl being, kidnapped and converted to Islam, married off to men they don't even know who are much older than them, and basically, these little girls now become, victims in a sex crime. So we don't want that. And you're all seeing what is happening you all have seen recently what has happened in Bangladesh, where the mandirs have been vandalized, Hindus have been beaten on the streets, Hindu businesses and homes have been burnt. The it's Hindus have been forced to resign from their faculty jobs and police jobs and other places. We want America to exercise its soft power and hold these theocracies accountable. The next one is very simple. There are a lot of statues, murtis as we call them. Murtis have been actually stolen or decapitated and the head stolen. If you go to Cambodia and you go to India, the murtis are stolen. People are worshipping them. These are especially older murtis. They've been worshipped for hundreds of years, many, many hundred years. And next, some morning people wake up, go to the mandir, the murti is missing. We want to make sure that these artifacts that now are taken, stolen, given to private collectors, gone to museums, artifacts that you keep in the museum. These are sacred murtis. They be returned so that people can place them back in mandirs. The next one is we want to make sure that US promotes a multifaceted partnership between the candidates who win, or who we support rather, have promote a multifaceted partnership with India. What I mean by that is that, look, America and India are natural allies. I say that as someone who believes that America is our karma bhumi, India is our dharma bhumi, but we both practice democracy. We practice democracy for literally, Bharat has practiced, India has practiced democracy for thousands of years, from the times of Mahajanapadas. That's about 3,000, 3,500 years ago. And we want to make sure that, and America being one of the more prominent democracies today, come and work together as equals, as allies, and not government instruments like USCIRF are not used to malign India and really used as tools by vested interests to break apart this natural partnership. So we want the candidates who get our support to actually promise us that they will use these tools, the commissions and agencies that US government has, for the good of and by good I mean promoting this multifaceted partnership with India. And finally, and I'm sure Mohinderji will talk a lot more about it, is support legislation that promote environmentally responsible and sustainable development. We consider Bharat to be, in Hindu Dharma, we consider earth to be Dharti Mata. So we have a lot of respect for Mother Earth, and through sustainability, sustainable development, we can promote good, responsible development. So I'll stop there and I'll turn it over to Mohinder ji for the next part of this webinar. Mohinder ji.
Thank you very much, Ajay. If you stop sharing the screen, then I can share
Yes,
my screen.
done.
Then we can
Yep,
use
it's all
that.
yours.
Okay, just to confirm, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Seeing that I'm sharing the presentation?
yes, I can.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much for this wonderful introduction, Ajay. And I wish to all those who are viewing this webinar and those who might view it later on, happy Deepavali. It's a little early, but it's around the corner. So wishing you all a very, very happy Deepavali. I also want to congratulate you all, those who are eligible to participate in the voting process here, on your good fortune. I want to congratulate you for that, that you are able to participate in a democratic process in a secure, safe, and dignified environment. Not many countries, in not many places, people are able to do that. And I have not only participated, I've been an election officer in India. That was long ago when we had paper ballots. That sounds like a very, very old times. But I have also seen these elections in many other countries where we know what happens, how difficult it is, how difficult the democratic processes are, and how rigged these are. So you are very fortunate to be participating in a very, very stable, safe, secure, dignified, democratic process here. And so please do go out, step out and vote. Your vote matters. As Ajay said, and he showed you that graph, in a system of first past the post. This is not a system of proportional representation. It's a system first past the post. In a system of first past the post, the swing vote matters, and your vote is actually much bigger than the victory margin in many of the states that Ajay showed. So therefore, it is not only your moral obligation to go and participate in the democratic process, be heard, raise your voice, be heard, but also as a responsible citizen, go and vote and participate. You have already seen this graph, and therefore let us just skip that. Uh, the uh, on the Hindu Pact website, you will see several very useful tools, and Ajay ji will talk about that later. One is the temple guide, another is a voter guide. One as to, for you as a voter, what is it that you can do, you should do, what is it that it is possible, what you are eligible to, and what is legally permissible, what is not legally permissible, what are the tools that you can use. So there's a whole lot of information and very, very useful background and the tools available on this website for you, as well as for the mandirs that you can, if it is possible, convert these mandirs into voter registration centers, into polling centers, so that it is not only that you are creating this facility for increasing the voter participation of the Hindu community, but also you are demonstrating to the community around you that you are a responsible, conscientious citizen who participates and engages in these processes. So plenty of material there, beautifully put together by Ajay ji and his team. So please do go and visit, and he will show you this later. What is it that you can do as a voter? Register not only yourself, but also your friends, your family, your neighbors. Encourage them to register for voting, and use the tools that are available on the website. Get out to vote, on the whether it is mail-in ballots, or whether it is early voting, or whether it is going on the voting day. Unfortunately, we don't have a holiday on an election day, which is the case with India and Australia, but not here. So you don't get a day off, but nevertheless, do go out and get people to step out to vote. Uh, So Ajay ji had talked about the democracy being 3,500 year old in India, and he has shown you some wonderful examples which are available on the website. But I'll share with you one personal experience. I had gone to a very remote village in Himachal Pradesh. It is called Malana. It is up at about 12,000 feet. And in a small village at 12,000 feet, they have a small parliament, and they have a village assembly, and there are, in the middle of the village, there are these 11 seats which are for the elders. So I asked them as to what are these. They said, oh, these are very, very old. We every 2 years we elect 11 members from the village as the elders, and they are the ones who take all the decisions. And each member of each family then contributes one person as a local police and local administration. I mean, you can't get more grassroots level democracy than that. So these traditions are actually very old as a part of our civilization and as a part of our dharma. Um, who to vote for? Ajay has already talked about it, so I would not go into those. Uh, okay. Um, this agenda also you have heard, Ajay, but when you talk to your candidates, and I don't mean only the presidential candidate, but there's the congressmen and the senators, or whether it is even for your local council, when you talk to these candidates, do raise your issues. And these issues, Ajay has talked about it, but also the local issues that affect you, whether that is growing Hindu hate, or whether that is vandalization of your temples, whether that is the curriculum and academy in the school curriculums. You'll be surprised as to how much of ignorance and discrimination and hatred is there in the some of the curriculum, or some of the local schools that you see. So be aware of that, raise your voice, raise it with them, and then start participating at all levels. And that is how your voices will get heard, and how your voices will start mattering more and more. It's not only the numbers, it is also that Ajay didn't say that, mention it. You are only 1% of the population, but you pay 6% of the taxes. That is the financial power, financial muscle power that you have, which you are not using. So we are punching much below our weight in the US democratic process. So therefore, you are not only, it's not only the numbers, but you're contributing so much to the economy, you are contributing so much to the society, that you are society builders, you are wealth builders, and you are punching so much above your weight in terms of economic contribution, that you should also convert that into political weight, that your voice should matter. This is you will see that on the in the presentation, and you can visit that in the website, as to what are your responsibilities as a voter, which is register, learn about your candidates, as to what are their issues, what are their agendas, what do they stand for, who is funding them, who is endorsing them, who is supporting them, so that you can see whether those who are funding, are they inimical to your interest? If not, then if they are, then how do you counter that? And in the community, also mobilize your community. And when you mobilize your community, and you get these candidates to come and talk to your community, whether that's a Diwali Mela, or whether it is Navratri, or whether that is a celebration in the temple, or whether it is any other community function, invite them, and invite them not just for participating in a festival, but also have a conversation with them about your issues. Those are the times when not only you invite them to participate in the festivals and your celebrations, but also on the sidelines have a meeting with them on what your issues are, what your local and national level issues are, and what your agenda is. So do raise it with them, and slowly start sensitizing, start making them more and more aware. Uh, we are okay. I'll take a few more minutes just to talk about the eligibility. Most of you are, you know, that you are citizens, you can vote, but also there are people who may be on permanent residency. They may or may not be aware of what is it that they are eligible for. But as a US, for the purpose of voting, you have to be a US citizen. You have to be above 18 years of age. You have to be a resident of the constituency where you are going to vote. There are some ID requirements in some places they are not. So be aware of what are the requirements for you to be able to register as a voter, and go and vote. People on the green card, they cannot vote in the federal elections. In some areas for the local elections, depending on where you live, there are some local elections where they are eligible to vote, but mostly not. However, they can still participate in the election process. They can donate, and they can contribute. They can also volunteer for election activities. So you can do all of those things, even as a green card holder. But if you have anybody has any questions, do raise it, and Ajay ji will also respond to that. One thing more which can be a little confusing for people is the uh, is the can you do something on the internet, because this is the age of internet. So therefore, even if you are not a voter, even if you are a permanent resident, you can still do quite a lot on the internet. Make sure that this is not a paid activity, and make sure that this is on the internet, that you are not violating any of the conditions of use of internet. But you can certainly may do forwards. You can certainly do some campaigning on the internet. You can even use your employer's computers and internet, subject to whatever the conditions are. But some places they do that, as long as it is not for advocating for a particular candidate or a particular party. Uh, how are we doing on time? I think we seem to be not too bad, which is okay. And some of these are common sense election day checklists. I would not go into it. But all that I would say is that start getting more active, not just at the time of election. Start getting much more active, politically engaging even before that, so that then you start building your as Hindus, as a community, they start looking at you as a vote that they want to come and campaign to you, and therefore they start listening to your issues, start listening to your voice, and that starts mattering, not only for you but also for the broader Hindu community. So let me just stop there, because now Ajay ji will show you as to give you a demonstration of this website, as to how to use it, how to navigate it. Let me just stop there and wish you all good luck. Do go out and participate in the election on 5th or before, and do take your friends and family and encourage them. Have a conversation with them on what are the Hindu issues and why do they matter, and how raising your voice with the candidates will make a difference, not only for you but also for your future generations. Become more aware. If you need more information on some of those issues, more details, so that you can have a more informed conversation with your representatives, there is a lot of material available on the Hindu website, Hindu Pact website. Use that material, or otherwise you can get in touch with us to seek more clarification. We have people who are more knowledgeable about it and can respond more accurately to your questions, so that you are much better informed in engaging in conversation with your local candidates, and also your local political executive. Thank you very much for listening to me, and thank you very much, Ajay ji. I hand it over back to you, and I'll stop sharing the screen.
Thank you, Mohinderji. That was incredibly helpful, very useful, and the way you articulated it made all the difference. So, thank you very much. I am going to. So, Mohinderji mentioned about a website that we have, and this is a very unique website, and I am really proud to say that not because we have created this as part of Hindu Pact, but because really, if you compare it with a website for any advocacy group, faith-based advocacy group from any faith, I think our website is head and shoulder above any other website you will come across for a similar purpose. And once I show you, you will know why I am saying that. And as a Hindu, you're going to be proud of the fact that you, as a Hindu community, have a resource that is unparalleled from anything you would have ever seen. So let me share my screen and go over the website. So the website is HinduVote.org. That's HinduVote.org. And this Hindu Vote website has multiple aspects to it. I will show you a few of them without taking up too much time, and then you can explore the website on your own. So you can see that this website has multiple components. It has the what we do as part of the Hindu Vote Initiative of Hindu Pact and Vishnu Hindu Parishad of America. We also go. We have a lot of tools here. So Mohinderji mentioned tools. You can see the tools for voters. We are right here. I'll quickly show you the tools for voters that we have, and there's still time to use these tools. So, for example, you can see that using this website, you can pledge to register, register to vote, verify your voter registration. You can request absentee ballots. You can sign up for election reminders, or you can look up the donors who is donating to a candidate. Really simple. I mean, like for example, if you want to click the voter registration, you click on this link here, and it gives you a simple link, and it goes to you put your first name, last name, address, your birth date, email address. We don't hold this information. This goes directly through a third party to the government, which brokers between the different states. It goes to your state, and uh, the information that we get from the state, again, the privacy policy, terms of services, all of that is here, and you get information back from the state that shows you if you're registered to vote or not. Very important, because we want to make sure that you are registered to you have registered, and your registration should show up. So this is and the other tools like that, right? So I'll not go over all the tools. Please explore on your own. Again, it's hinduvote.org. We also track a number of bills. These bills are all here from the Hindu perspective. And we also have a legislative report card which says how many legislators, like people in the House of Representatives or Senate, support a bill that we support as Hindus or oppose it. The guide that Mohinderji showed is voter guide. It's right here. We also have the Hindu American agenda. And there's one more thing, and I'll show you that. So Mohinderji talked about the agenda. He also briefly kind of flashed on the screen the candidate questionnaire. So we converted this agenda into a questionnaire. And this questionnaire was, as a survey, was sent to all the candidates for House of Representatives and the Senate. So it basically went out to 1,076 candidates who are running for various offices: Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Green Party candidates, and everyone you can think of. Okay, so all of them got this survey, and as they fill out, I'll show you where the answers come. We also have a unique guide for temples and nonprofits, and this is the guide which tells the mandirs and the nonprofit what they can and cannot do legally during the election, like setting up the polling booth or setting up the candidate debates. They can issue statements, how they could do all that without jeopardizing their 501c3 status. Okay, so with that, let me first, before I go to the main website, let me go to the main website first. But before since I have this on the screen, let me go back here for a second. This is these are the standing posters, and we have been putting these informative standing posters on on several mandir premises. So you can see we have now I think we have reached about 30, 35 or so. And I think by election, we'll have reached about 50 of these mandirs where we are putting up the posters about why do we need to register to vote. We also have podcasts available as part of our conversations over coffee. But now, without further ado, let me just show this main website that we have created that I've been talking about. So Hindu Vote Guide to Elections 2024. So you come here, and the first thing you see is you can have it in many languages, by the way, but you come to this website and you can enter any zip code, or you can enter an address, any address in US, and you can search the candidate. So for example, I'll put a zip code 92129. This is a zip code in San Diego, for example, right? I don't need to enter address because I already have a zip code. Otherwise, I enter the address and it maps to the same thing. And then I click on search. When I click on search here, I see all the candidates for House of Representatives, for the US Senate, and some other information like tools and videos and articles and all of the other stuff. Okay. So now I say, well, this is interesting. I have a Republican and a Democrat. Republican in this case is Peter Bono. Democratic Scott Peters. Democratic Senate candidate is Adam Schiff, and the Republican Senate candidate is Steve Garvey. Well, let me find out a little bit more about Adam Schiff. Right? Just want to know about him. So I click about on Adam Schiff. Now, remember, the goal of this website is to help you make a decision. We don't endorse a candidate. We want you to be informed. So you make a decision as to whether the candidate is worthy of your vote or not. Okay, so we look at, there's a brief bio, social media handles, and once you keep going down, you say, okay, well, who is giving money to this candidate? How much is the candidate has the candidate raised? Remember, this is as of the reporting date that is available on federal election site. And this might be a little older for Adam Schiff because he was in the House. We have to, we'll make sure this connected to his Senate campaign. We get to hear more about his Senate candidacy. So you will see for all the candidates, you'll see some contribution they have received, loans, everything else. Again, it's directly from Federal Election Commission website. Okay. We also have listed the political action committees that are funding Adam Schiff. So in this particular case, Adam Schiff, we are saying, well, uh, you know, all the Hindu political actions committee, a lot of them, especially, for example, Americans for Hindus, Hindu American Political Action Committee, HIPAC, Americans for Hindus. Have they endorsed this candidate or not? Are they supporting? Have they funded it? If Adam Schiff was funded by them, you'd actually see an amount here. Since he has not received the money or endorsement, you don't see any amount or funding here. And you can see MGAGE is a Muslim Political Action Committee. MPAC is again Muslim Public Affairs Committee. BAPS has its own public affairs arm. We want to give you a neutral view of who is supporting or not supporting the candidate. Okay, so that is where is the candidate getting money from? The second is a really, really unique way of representing a candidate. What we have here is all the relationships that Adam Schiff has. So, for example, Adam Schiff, as you can see here, is a Democrat. If there was substantial amount, we would have listed major donors. We would have listed the name. If that was in public domain and available as current information, then we can see the issues that are important to Adam Schiff. So, for example, he has talked about racism, and look, he has talked about reflections on racism and in America. And there's a source, you can click on it, you can explore it. That is a speech that he has given at the House of Representatives. Then he has talked about racial bias in healthcare, right? So these are the issues that are important to him. He has also talked about Israel and anti-Semitism. So you can see, the source where he has talked about that. He has also talked about, for example, let me move this up a little bit. He has also talked about the Russian interference, and the title of the news item was "The Quiet Anger of Adam Schiff," and he talks about Russian interference, and then his key writings. And there's some key writings here: telephone metadata from Reform Act that he talked about the domestic phone records and all that. He talked about the Freedom of Press Act that he's written about it, which is the Daniel Pearl Foundation Freedom of the Press Act that was passed. And then he has issued a statement of support for Israel as official House statement. That is his key writing. So you can look at his record and you can say, is this candidate's or does this candidate's values, writings, thoughts, caucus membership, does it align with your thinking? Does it align with the Hindu interest or not? Right? And the questionnaire that we talked about a little earlier, this is the questionnaire. This questionnaire aligns with the Hindu agenda. So you can see that we ask about the candidate's vision and what they want to do, why they want to run for election. There are 3 questions about that. Very simple. Then the Hindu hatred question and the Mandir vandalism question is combined into a single question, and that is to counter the growing hate instances. Do you support this House Resolution 1131 that was proposed by Sri Thanedar? in condemning Hindu phobia, anti-Hindu bigotry, and other purposes. So we want to know if a candidate, whether it's Adam Schiff or his opponent or any candidate running for Congress, House or Senate, what is their response? And as soon as they've all been sent, I keep saying this, they've all been sent this custom link, and they click on that link and they respond to this simple question that should take no more than 5 minutes to respond to if they've thought about these issues, then it automatically gets populated on this website. If they have not responded to, then it will just say waiting for the responses. And then there are affirmative action. What do you think about affirmative action, about the immigration policy, about international human rights, about the foreign policy? Again, it mirrors exactly the American Hindu agenda is reflected in this questionnaire. And then there are some more general questions, right? And that is, what do the candidate, we think that these are important questions for our community to know about. For example, what the candidate thinks about the gun control issue and about the abortion. Again, we are passing no judgment on it. We just want to know what the candidate position is. Okay. And then here are remember I told you that we track the voting records or who is sponsoring a particular legislation or a bill or resolution. And we follow that and we say, okay, does this candidate's position in alignment with the position that we as Hindu Pact on behalf of Hindu community hold? And if there's no position taken, then you'd see NA. But in case of Adam Schiff, if you go down, look, with the Hate Crime Commission Act of 2023, we think it should be supported. Adam Schiff has supported it. So we give them a thumbs up. If there are cases where we don't support it, we'll give them a thumbs down. Okay. And there's one more part of this website. Now, this is important part of the survey. This is, we want to know here what you think about a candidate as a voter in his constituency. So, for example, and you can vote here. You can say, well, has he been involved with the Hindu American community in his constituency? If he is, you would say yes. Do you think he appreciates the Hindu American community? If you don't know, you can just say neutral. I'm just randomly picking, right? Because he's not my Senate candidate. So I don't know really whether what he is doing. I'm just demonstrating a website at this stage. Do you believe that he would be a strong advocate for US-India relationship? I don't know. I would just say, yeah, sure, why not? Do you believe that this candidate is aware and appreciates of the growing level of hate being directed at the American Hindu community? We saw that he supported one legislation. We just say strongly agree. And does he promote merit-based educational opportunities? If you don't think he agrees, then you can say no. Again, I'm just demonstrating a website. I don't know what his position is on any of these things. So this is how we vote. And then you can then, if there are enough number of survey responses to make it statistically significant, then you would see the survey responses here. The idea is that you want to know what your fellow Hindus are thinking about this particular candidate. And that is yet another way of judging the candidate. So we have 5 different ways of judging a candidate. You judge the candidate based on what voters in his or her district saying or state saying about the candidate from the Hindu perspective. What are the bills or resolutions that the candidate is supporting, whether they're in agreement with the position that we as Hindu Pact have taken. We have here a response to the questionnaire that we sent, all the relationships and the speeches that the candidate has given, and all the political action committees and funding that candidate gets. Okay, so these are the ways that we evaluate a candidate using this website. Again, very unique. Haven't seen this in any other faith-based website at all so far. Now, let me go back and show you one final thing. Remember, I had mentioned earlier that we actually track the candidates and we have a legislative report card. So let me show you what that looks like. So these are the bills that we track. A quick demo on what we are tracking. So all the bills, at what stage the bills are in. HinduVote website is absolutely critical for all the Hindus, because they can see what is going on without going through all the news items and fumbling through all the sources to find out what is important of Hindus in Congress. You can just go to this one page and you can see all the bills in House and Senate that are being tracked by HinduPAC. And to make things even simpler, we also have uh, a legislative report card. So every 2 years, every 1 year, we update this, and we say, okay, how are the in the past and this current Congress, what are the bills that are important? Same bills that we showed earlier in the bill tracker, and now we have all the candidates about who have opined on these bills one way or the other, and we can show you who are supporting Hindu causes with a thumbs up, and who are not supporting the Hindu causes with a thumbs down. Now, these are politicians, so you can see some of them have a thumbs up and thumbs down. So now we leave it to you whether, to weigh the pros and cons if they have one thumbs up and one thumbs down, right? But this is how we have 160 candidates all scored over here. See that? Okay, so with that done, I go back to this website and I want to show you a couple of other things. These are some really two of our leaders. Deepa Karthik is leading the Hindu Vote initiative, and she's the executive director for Hindu Vote. Deepti Mahajan is the co-convener of Hindu Pact, or Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective. Deepa and Dipti have done a lot of show appearances. They were in the Shri Iyer show, which is a very popular show, on Vibhuti Jha's show called Jaipur Dialogues, and various others. So please check them out. The links are on our website. This I already showed you. And finally, I think the Mandir standees I showed you. So this, and finally, we do a podcast. We just released them yesterday, 3 of them. So check out the podcast. You'll see the link to the podcast on our website as well. Okay, with that, Mohinderji, that is pretty much what I had to cover. I'll turn it over to you to see if you have any other comments.
Now, thank you very much, Ajay ji. Even I also learned quite a bit in your presentation on navigating through the website, all the wonderful work that has been done. I can tell you that this level of information, this level of awareness, this level of tools that you have created, it is not common to see this level of the information and the tools being made available to the voters anywhere. I have seen it in many other countries where I've worked from the World Bank and the United Nations. This level of voter education, voter awareness, the level of information that you are putting at the tips of their fingers to be able to make an informed choice and a conscious decision, that is very rare. So, heartiest congratulations to you and your team for having done this great work.
You are part of our team, Mohinderji.
Yes, I'm a newbie, so you have inducted me recently, so I'm still learning my way through,
You are
reading
equal
my way through,
participant in
and
all of
getting
this.
more and more impressed as I see. I'm getting more and more impressed. One appeal that I would like to make to the Hindu community here in the US is, do make better use of your mandirs to create awareness in the Hindu community about the public policy choices. We are not talking about the partisan politics. We are not talking about party politics. We are not talking about electoral politics. We're talking about public policies. And the mandirs should be at the vanguard of creating awareness in the Hindu community or the temple communities on what are the public policies, how they affect you, what are the pros and cons of those, and what is it that you can do about it, what you need to do about it, and what you can do about it. So become much better, much more informed citizen about the policies that affect you. And the mandirs should play that role, because that is one place where everybody gets together. And also for the mandir executives, they also should inform themselves that being a 501(c)(3) or religious place does not mean that you will not speak up for the concerns of your community. You should be the anchor, you should be the leader of raising the concerns of your community for the welfare of your community. So that is the only appeal that I would make. And not a self promotion, but I would just like to say that I'm a president of the Global Hindu Temple Network America and managing trustee of Global Hindu Temple Network in India. And that is what we are trying to do through Global Hindu Temple Network, that the temples should become the not only the places of religious worship, but also places of social consciousness and re-energization of the Hindu communities everywhere. Should become center of social activities, cultural activities, religious activities, the economic activities, but bring more social cohesion and public policy awareness, not only for yourself, but also for your younger generation, for your children and younger generation, and bring them to the temple, become become aware of the public policies that will affect their future, and become much more proactive. Again, happy Diwali, and wish you all a wonderful election day and wonderful election results.
Thank you, Mohinder ji. And I'll close with one final appeal. All this take a lot of resources and a lot of funds. So my appeal to the community would be that please go to hindupack.org/donation, and just go to our website, click on donation button on hinduvote.org, click on donation button anywhere, any of the websites. So hindupack.org or hinduvote.org, click on the donation button and help us as much as you can, because none of this is done on cheap. It does take a lot of resources to develop a sophisticated website like this. And so we truly would appreciate the community support in in enhancing support and maintaining this website, and really create a professional grade resource for our community. We are a 501(c)(3). All the donations are absolutely tax deductible. And again, we are not endorsing any candidates. We are just providing tools for to evaluate the voters who are who evaluate the candidates who will vote in uh, alignment with the interests of Hindu community. So with that, I will also wish everyone happy Diwali and happy election season. And thank you for joining. Namaste.
Namaste to everyone.
All right.